Hello friends, hi. We are studying about lipids. In my previous videos, we studied about lipid classification. In lipid classification, again there are three types of lipids. One, simple lipids. Second, compound lipids. Third, derived lipids. Simple lipids are also called as homolipids. Compound lipids are also called as heterolipids. Heterolipids. Again, the simple lipids are classified into two types. Simple lipids are classified into two types. One, fatty acids. Fatty acids. Second, fatty acids are oils. Second, waxes. Fatty acids. We are studying about fatty acids, one of the lipids, part of lipids. Fatty acids. Fatty acids. Fatty acids are carboxylic acids, with an aliphatic chain having an aliphatic chain. This aliphatic chain may be saturated or unsaturated. Unsaturated. In previous video, we have studied fatty acids types based on length, based on saturation versus unsaturation, based on saturation versus unsaturation, based on linear fatty acids versus versus branched fatty acids. Linear fatty acids versus branched fatty acids. Based on fourth one, based on even chain fatty acids versus odd chain fatty acids. In previous video we studied based on length. Again these are four types: short chain fatty acids, medium chain fatty acids, long chain fatty acids, and very long chain fatty acids. Now we are studying about fatty acids based on saturation and unsaturation. Fatty acids are 70% of total lipids. They constitute about 70% of total lipids. And fatty acids are important energy sources as well as important cell structural constituents. Fatty acids are divided into saturated fatty acids. We are studying about saturated fatty acids. Saturated fatty acids versus unsaturated fatty acids. The fatty acids have general formula of CH3 CH2 taken NCOOH, where N is equal to positive N integer So in saturated fatty acids, the number of double bonds in saturated fatty acids are 0. Number of double bonds in saturated fatty acids is 0. The aliphatic chain will have only saturated carbon atoms. Now saturated fatty acids are some important saturated fatty acids we'll discuss. As these fatty acids are carboxylic acids, as the definition says, fatty acids are carboxylic acids. Carboxylic acids. These carboxylic acids are also called as fatty acids. Some important fatty acids we'll study here. Common name, chemical structure, C/D. C is equal to number of carbon atoms in the aliphatic chain and D is equal to number of double bonds in the aliphatic chain. Double bonds in the aliphatic chain. First common name of some fatty acids are formic acid, R is HCOOH. Number of carbon atoms is 0, 1:0. Next, acetic acid, methanoic acid, ethanoic acid. This is methanoic acid. Structure CH3 CHCOOH. Number of carbon atoms in acetic acid is 2 and the number of double bonds in acetic acid is 0. Ethanoic acid or acetic acid. Third one, propanoic acid. CH3 CH2 COOH. Number of carbon atoms 3 to 0. 0 is number of double bonds present in propanoic acid. Next, butyric acid. Butyric acid CH3 CH2 vacant 2 COOH. Number of carbon atoms 4 and the number of double bonds 0. Next, valeric acid. Valeric acid. Valeric acid CH3 CH2 vacant 3 COOH. Number of carbon atoms 5 0. Number of double bonds is 0. Next, copric acid. Coproic acid. Coproic acid CH3 CH2 4 COH. Number of carbon atoms is 6. 7. Enanthenic acid. CH3 CH2 taken 5 COOH. Number of carbon atoms is 7 and number of double bonds is 0. Caprylic acid. Next, caprylic acid CH3 CH2 and 6 COOH. 8 is to 0. Next, we are studying about saturated fatty acids. Some important saturated fatty acids we are studying. Next, copric acid CH3 CH2 7 COOH. Number of double bonds, number of carbon atoms is 9 and number of double bonds is 0. Next, pelargonic acid. pelargonic acid, CH3, CH2, taken 8, COOH. Number of double carbon atoms is 10. Number of double bonds is 0. Next, lauric acid. Next, lauric acid. Number of carbon atoms is 12. The number of double bonds in lauric acid is 0. Next, myristic acid. Number of carbon atoms in myristic acid is 14. Number of double bonds in myristic acid is 0. Next, palmitic acid. These are all important saturated fatty acids in nature. Palmitic acid, palmitic acid, next, stearic acid, stearic acid. In stearic acid, number of carbon atoms in stearic acid is 18. Number of double bonds in stearic acid is 0. And arachidonic acid. Arachidic acid. CH3, CH2, taken 18, COOH. Number of carbon atoms in arachidic acid is 20, and the number of double bonds is 0. Next, behenic acid. Behenic acid. In behenic acid, number of carbon atoms is 22. The number of double bonds is 0. CH3 CH2 taken 20 COOH. Lignoserinic acid. Lignoserinic acid. CH3 CH2 taken 22 COOH. Number of carbon atoms is 24. Number of double bonds is 0. These are all saturated fatty acids. Cerotic acid. CH3 CH2 24 COOH 26 0. Mantanoic acid. Mantanoic acid. CH3 CH2 taken 26 COOH 28 1. Naturally occurring fatty acids are usually even chain fatty acids because the number of carbon atoms every time adding is 2. So usually the natural fatty acids are even chain fatty acids. These are all some important saturated fatty acids till we have studied. Now we'll move on to the next fatty acids, unsaturated fatty acids. Unsaturated fatty acids. These unsaturated fatty acids are again divided into omega 3, 3 unsaturated fatty acids. Second, omega 6 unsaturated fatty acids. Third, omega 9 unsaturated fatty acids. 4, omega 5, 7 and 10 unsaturated fatty acids. Now we will see some of the important omega-3 unsaturated fatty acids. Omega-3 unsaturated fatty acids. Eicosapentaenoic acid 1, eicosapentaenoic acid. The eicosapentaenoic acid is one of the omega-3 unsaturated fatty acids. The number of carbon atoms in eicosapentaenoic acid is 20 and the number of double bonds in eicosapentaenoic acid is 5, and this is cis unsaturated fatty acids. I forgot it. The unsaturated fatty acids are two types. One is cis unsaturated fatty acid. Second one, trans unsaturated fatty acids. Cis unsaturated and trans unsaturated fatty acids are divided based on the double bonds. If the double bond is same between the ethylene bridges, means same side, then it is called cis unsaturated fatty acids. If the double bonds between ethylene bridges is different sides of the molecule, then it is called trans unsaturated fatty acids. Next, after some important, we are studying some omega-3 fatty acids. Some important omega-3 fatty acids is, one is eicosapentaenoic acid. 20 carbon atoms are present in eicosapentaenoic acid, and the number of double bonds in eicosapentaenoic acid is 3, and this is cis. And next, linolenic acid. Linolenic acid is also a part of omega-3 unsaturated fatty acids, and the number of carbon atoms in linolenic acid is 18. The number of double bonds in linolenic acid is 3, and this is cis. Next, docosahexaenoic acid. Docosahexaenoic acid. Docosahexaenoic acid is omega-3 fatty acid, and it has 22 carbon atoms, and the number of double bonds in docosahexaenoic acid is 6, and this is also cis unsaturated fatty acid. Next, these are important. These three are important omega-3 unsaturated fatty acids present in nature. Next, we'll discuss omega-6. Omega-6 unsaturated fatty acids. Omega-6 unsaturated fatty acids is arachidonic acid, arachidonic acid. Arachidonic acid is the number of carbon atoms in arachidonic acid is 20 and the number of double bonds in arachidonic acid is 4, and this is cis unsaturated fatty acid. Linoleic acid. Linoleic acid. This is also omega-6 unsaturated fatty acid. The number of carbon atoms is 18 and the number of double bonds in linoleic acid is 2, and this is trans unsaturated. No, this is cis unsaturated fatty acid. Cis unsaturated fatty acid. Next, linoleic acid. Linoleic acid. The number of carbon atoms is 18 and the number of double bonds is 0. This is trans. These three are omega-6 unsaturated fatty acids, and the number of arachidonic acid, the number of carbon atoms is 20, and the linoleic acid number of carbon atoms is 18. Linoleic acid number of carbon atoms is 18, and this is trans. Next we'll study omega-9 omega-9 unsaturated fatty acids. Omega-9 unsaturated fatty acid. Oleic acid, oleic acid. The number of double bonds in oleic acid is, number of carbon atoms in oleic acid is 18 and the number of double bonds is 1, and this is cis unsaturated fatty acids. Ellaidic acid. Ellaidic acid. Number of carbon atoms is 18 and the number of double bonds is 1, and this is trans. This is also omega-9 unsaturated fatty acid. And next uric acid. Uric acid. The number of carbon atoms in uric acid is 20 and the number of double bonds is 1, and this is 6. These are 3 important omega-9 unsaturated fatty acids. Next, omega 5, 7 and 10. Unsaturated fatty acid. Palmitoleic myristic stoloic acid. Myristoloic acid is one of the omega 5, 7 and 10 unsaturated fatty acids. Number of carbon atoms in myristoloic acid is 14 and the number of double bonds in myristoloic acid is 1, and this is 6. Next, palmitoleic acid. Palmitoleic acid. The number of carbon atoms is 16 and our number of double bonds is 1, and this is 6. Next, racinic acid. Racinic acid. The number of carbon atoms in racinic acid is 18. Number of double bonds is 1, and this is 6. These are important omega 5, 7 and 10 unsaturated fatty acids. One more omega 5, 7 and 10 unsaturated fatty acids. We have sapoinic acid. Sapoinic acid. Number of carbon atoms 16 and the number of double bonds is 1. These are some important unsaturated fatty acids. These unsaturated fatty acids usually have double bonds, in the aliphatic chain. Actually, this statement should start with first, where we started unsaturated fatty acids of omega 3, omega 6, omega 9, omega 5, 7 and 10 unsaturated fatty acids. These are all having double bonds in the aliphatic chain. These double bonds are separated by ethylene bridge. This is ethylene bridge. In every third position, every third carbon in the unsaturated fatty acids will have double bond. Means after every ethylene bridge, the unsaturated fatty acids will have the double bonds. Next, fatty acids are branch even chain. Next fatty acids are even carbon number, even number of carbon atoms versus odd number of carbon atoms in the aliphatic chain. Examples: valeric acid, having, it is a saturated fatty acid. It has 5 carbon atoms and 0 double bonds. It is 5 is odd number of carbon atoms. Next, even number of carbon atoms, myristic acid. Myristic acid is having 14:0, 14 number of carbon atoms and 0 is number of double bonds, as it is a saturated fatty acids. Next, in next upcoming videos we will discuss about some more chemical properties and some other chemical properties and distribution of fatty acids, while studying chemical properties, distribution of fatty acids and so on in upcoming videos. Okay, thank you.